I've noticed lately that from most things unrelated to reading and writing and storytelling, I feel no sense of accomplishment. I may do a job well at work, or meaningfully express my full love and support for a friend, or most recently, land a job that is both respectable and critical to the proper lifelong functioning of others, and still feel like I have contributed nothing of real or lasting significance to the world. When I imagine great success, I imagine literary success. I picture a hard cover in my hand with my name on it, and I envision a look of relieved ecstasy on my face, like the expression of Jo March at the end of the 2019 film Little Women, when she finally clutches her beloved tale in tangible form. When I consider my legacy, I consider too the written word. Why does everything come back to words and books and stories? Somehow I cannot shake the feeling that there is no meaning or purpose for me elsewhere. Yet I know this is not true. As a Christian, I know my meaning and purpose comes from one source, one person, one God, Jesus Christ. But how have I come to believe otherwise? What is it about learning from books, about writing books, about collecting books and reading books aloud and even flipping through them with one eye on the sky that has so enchanted me and become, though I don't dare to admit it aloud, my dearest raison d'être? Perhaps it is because I trust that those who lived longer than myself in distinct times beyond my own may have found words to make sense of what I now live. Perhaps it is because of the immortality of words, when I know I myself must die. Perhaps it is because of the satisfaction, both scientific and aesthetic, of forming words into new sentences, of putting characters into new places, of discovering new forms of universal expression. Perhaps it is because books are an alternate reality, and for the student of history, a chance to meet the builders of the world. As a Christian, I believe that reading and writing literature are high and worthy acts that may and ought to glorify God. These are ways of exploring the human psyche and experience, of making feelings tangible, of sharing perspectives, of exercising the creative intuitions that reflect the great mind of the Creator. These are ways of coming to know Him. Great literature conveys truth, and thus it conveys God. This can be positive truth, like the magnificence of the natural world, or the incomparable depth of emotions like love, joy, and compassion, or the providential goodness of God throughout the drama of history. There is also negative truth, such as the fallen imperfection of the human condition and the brokenness of all creation, which we see in the natural process of decay, in disease, in disaster, and in death. Literature tells the true story of how these things intertwine in the fullest experience of life, and literature tells it in gorgeous and excruciating ways. Hence the temptation to worship it. My love for a piece of literature is based on how much truth it conveys, but also on how it makes me feel. If a work brings me to my knees, either in joyful awe or painful grief, it passes the test. Yet we do not live in books, try as we might. And as a Christian, I must acknowledge that literature is not the be-all, end-all of my existence, though it certainly improves its quality. C.S. Lewis, the brilliant and prolific writer who penned the beloved Chronicles of Narnia series, among other fiction and non-fiction masterpieces, said that the salvation of a single soul is more important than the production and preservation of all the epics and tragedies in the world. This man taught literature at Oxford. Thinking, reading, and writing were his profession, yet they were not his life. C.S. Lewis recognized the highest calling of a man, which is not to contemplate and write about truth in the most ethereal way possible, but to serve and worship the Creator and Master of truth, the truth himself, God Almighty. For the past few years, I fought to define my identity by my passion for historic literature. I've labored for my chance to be listed among the greats, and I've curated an energy and a mind full of ideas to these effects. In certain moments, like when I seize the odd chance to hunker down in silence with a great book, or when the writing inspo hits and I hit it back, I feel the full delight of these things. But in the majority of my moments, which are by and large my real life, I have to put literature back on the shelf. In the moments when I'm taking care of the vulnerable at work, when I'm loving and enjoying my fiancé and my family and my friends, when I'm lost on a gorgeous coastline watching the waves drown the sun, when I'm driving to church, when I'm taking the time to exit my mind and focus on the reality of others, in these moments I am truly living in the midst of the greatest epic and tragedy of all time, the story of the world, of God's world, and of Him taking it back for Himself. In these moments, I'm not enjoying the beauty of truth in words, but I'm living under the light of the truth, and I'm helping the truth maker bring the world closer to understanding. What is the chief end of man? To glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. What is our chief daily purpose? To display the supremacy of God in all things for the joy of all peoples. We may glorify Him through writing. The supremacy of God may be encountered in a work of literature. But most moments in our day-to-day lives are not contemplative but physical, and not bookish but natural, and not creative but bland. Yet these are the moments to glorify Him most, because these are the moments when we encounter living souls desperately in need of hope and purpose and truth. This is what I have been learning as I read and write and think about books. As much as I wish these things to be everything, they are not, and as much as I wish to be defined by my love for them, I am not. For as John Piper says, in the night sky of this world God appears to most people, if at all, like a pinprick of light in a heaven of darkness, and He calls those who see Him, however darkly, to show Him as He really is to those who don't yet see, for knowing Him is the real purpose of our existence.